Hello dear students. In the previous classes we discussed about some of the habitats, terrestrial habitats, and then we discussed about desert habitat, then also about grasslands we discussed. Today we are going to talk about tropical rainforest. Usually if you think about the climatic condition of tropical rainforest, it is warm. Though it rains every day, almost every day it will rain, but it remains warm. Okay, so the vegetation there, if you see the plants there, it will be too dense. Dense means it will be thick forest with varieties of plants. The trees, if you look at the trees in this forest, there will be huge trees growing to a very big trees will be there with lots of leaves, big trunk, and creating a canopy. You can see grew from the ground very tall they grow, and because of the dense forest they will not allow sunlight to fall directly on the ground. It may fall, but it will be very less sunlight. The plants which grow there, they have to adapt according to the darkness of the forest, according to the dark and dense climatic condition of the forest. So usually what happens, the leaves will have grooves on it. Usually what happens when the rain, I told you it rains most of the days, so when the rain falls on the leaves, they need to fall off from their surface. So it won't allow, the leaves of the plants will not allow water to stay on the leaves. So it prevents, when the water stay on the leaf, it may get rotten very easily. It may get decayed very easily. So because of this, drip tips, it is called drip tips, means it will have thin tips which will allow the leaves to fall down easily. It will help them to reduce the water accumulation on the plants, and thus it will help them or prevent them from rotting of the leaves. Because only very few amount of sunlight reaches the lower vegetation. Lower vegetation means on the ground, grass and all small plants, they get very less sunlight. All small plants have very large leaves. So why do they have large leaves? Because whatever sunlight comes on the ground, they will be able to absorb the maximum from that. Now, if you think about the animals, a large variety of animals can be found in this forest. So many varieties. And they have some special adaptive features. Because there are large number of animals there will be always competition for food, because many varieties of animals are there. So almost all the animals, they have adapted to eat such food that is not eaten by another animal. Means if there is competition for same type of food, all of them will get less food. So how they have adapted is, if a particular type of animal eat a particular type of food, that will not be eaten by the other type of animal. So the competition for one type of food will be less. Another thing is that they protect themselves by merging in the surrounding. Okay, they show yesterday also we discussed, they show some special adaptive technique by which they merge themselves with the surrounding, which is called camouflage. Okay, I'll show you some of the videos which I have got real from the nature. I'll show you. Now see here you can see a leaf insect. So when it is lying there, you won't come to know whether it is a leaf or an insect. Similarly, you can see a stick insect here. When it is in between many twigs and all, if it is lying, you won't come to know whether it is a twig or a insect. So these all techniques they use to protect themselves from their predators. Now, most of the plants, most of the animals found here, they stay on trees. So they have developed such muscles and arms and legs muscles which help them to stay on the twigs or on the trees without falling from them. Now look at this. It looks like a tree, but if you look at it carefully, you will come to know that there are some birds in it. Look at it, beautifully camouflaged. Okay, so this is how some animals and birds, insects, they hide themselves or merge themselves with the surroundings. See it. Now look at these leaves. Can you see anything in that? Look carefully. You will be able to see. See, just like that you won't be able to. If you touch it, you will see there is a small worm. So again, a beautiful way of merging with the environment. Can you imagine what is it? It looks like a dry leaf. But you see when they touch it, what happens to it? You see it, observe it. Now look at these plants. Which type of plants are they? It is, first one is a water lettuce, second one is a water lily, and the other one is not very common to you. It is called hydra. Okay, so if you observe them, you can see that they all grow in water. So the plants which grow in water are called aquatic plants. Now, aquatic habitats can be divided into two parts. One is marine or saline water, in which saline water means oceans and seas, the living organisms which grow in the oceans and seas, marine habitat. And then we have freshwater habitat. Freshwater habitat means the plants and animals that grow in ponds, lakes, rivers, etc. Okay. Now if you observe these plants also carefully, they have some special features which allow them to stay in water, to live in water and grow healthy. The aquatic plants are also known as hydrophytes. Hydro means water. They are known as hydrophytes. Now you see this plant. This plant, that is the water lettuce, its roots are not touching the ground. But here it is touching the ground, but the leaves are above the, leaves and flowers are above the water. Here the plant is above the water, but the roots are just suspended. It's not touching the ground. Here the roots are touching the ground, but leaves are on top of the water. Here the complete plant is under the water. Okay. So these are three different types of aquatic plants. The first one is a water lettuce, I told you, because it is not fixed to the ground, it is just floating. Okay, that plant is called, that type of plants which float are called floating plants. And the other one, that is, they are not floating and they are not completely submerged also. They are called fixed plants. They are fixed in the water. I mean, at the bottom of the water body it is fixed. And the other one are completely submerged in water. They are called underwater plants. Okay, so these are the different types of aquatic plants. Partially submerged and totally submerged plants, then freely floating plants. If you see, their roots are either poorly developed, they means their roots may not be totally developed or totally absent, in between. Water lily, lotus, all these, they partially submerge in water. Their roots are there, which are fixed to the ground. And these leaves, they are very tough, and they can withstand, means when there is a flow of water also, they won't get damaged, it will stay there. And if you check the leaves, they are covered with a particular coating is there, cuticles they are called. Water will not get collected to them. Okay. And stomata, which help them to breathe, are under the instead of under the leaves, they have upper part of the leaves. Okay, so that they will be able to breathe easily. So in mostly plants, the stomatas are below or on the bottom part of the leaf, but in water plants it will be on the upper part. And even chlorophyll also will be too much in the upper parts, which help them to prepare the food easily. Okay, so plants that grow in water also, they have also special features. Now if you think of fully submerged plants like hydra and all, they may not have the roots, or they are very poorly developed roots, not at all strong roots. They may not have stomata for gaseous exchange. Okay, on their body's surface they may not have, and there will be no waxy coatings or anything which protect them from water loss. They may have leaves, ribbon-like leaves, that is thin leaves, or highly divided, means many parts like that it will be divided, which will help them to prevent the water loss. Or also this type of leaves will not get torn when there is flow of water. Now water transporting system, means in them how the water is taken from one part to the other and all, it is not properly developed. Okay, and this type of plants are usually fully submerged under the water. Now if you think of the animals which grow or which stay in water, let us see some of the animals. Now let us see some of the animals that live in water, which are called aquatic animals. If you look at the aquatic animals, you know which are the aquatic animals? Yes, fish, octopus, whales, some frogs, not all frogs. Frogs sometimes they live on water and on land both. Like tortoise, all these things, they live on both land and water both, but they spend much time on the water. So these aquatic animals, usually fish and all, if you observe, you can see they have streamlined body structure. Streamline means what? From both the ends, in the beginning and at the end it will be very thin, and from the middle it will be broad. Okay, octopus, squids and all, they don't have this streamlined body, but the other animals like fish and all, they have streamlined bodies. And you know, organisms like fish and all, they have special organs for breathing in the water. What is that organ called for the fish? It is called gills. Gills will help them to breathe, and also they have special organs. They don't have legs for swimming, hands and legs are not there, but they have fins, also they have tails. Okay, they have some bladder in which which help the fish to provide buoyancy. That means to oppose the fish also have some swim bladder. It has a swim bladder which help them to swim across, or to balance their body and swim across the force of water. Okay. Now, if you look at the aquatic birds like ducks and swan, they have webbed toes. Their feet will have webbed feet. Webbed feet means the toes will be connected with a very thin membrane. Also, they have some oil glands under their tails, which produce a type of oil which help them keep their feathers waterproof. This oil help them to keep their feathers waterproof. So when they swim in water, when they move in water, their body will not become wet. Like when we get into the water, the whole body will become wet, right? But for birds, they have some special, aquatic plants, aquatic birds especially, they have a oil producing gland which help them to protect them from the water. Okay. Now, what are amphibians? You know, we just discussed about amphibians just now. That is frogs and some of the tortoise and all. They live both in water and on land. So they have they have legs. Okay. And especially frogs and all, they have strong legs which help them to leap and catch their prey. Okay, so we discussed about various type of habitats and also the adaptive techniques which help them to adapt or to stay in that particular habitat. So all the organisms living surrounding in our surroundings or in their own particular habitats have special features that suits them the best to live in that particular area. Okay. They possess some characteristics or adaptive features which make them most suitable to live in a particular habitat. This adaptation, it doesn't happen suddenly, children. Slowly when they stay in a particular habitat, they develop such features. Okay, you might have heard about this giraffe, how they got their long neck and all. In the olden, in the previous, many years ago, if you see the giraffe, they did not have, but they started eating plants from the top of the tree. When they started eating leaves, not in 1 year or 2 years or 10 or 100 years, after millions of years, some 1000 or 2000 or millions of years, slowly they develop this type of features. Okay, or whatever changes are occurring due to their environment, it occurs. Okay, but if they find that in this particular environment, if I have to survive, I need this or the nature itself feels, or they find that the particular creature or particular organism cannot survive without a particular feature, slowly the nature itself will help them to develop such features. So with this topic, this chapter gets over. We will start with the notes and other things in the next class. That's all for today. Thank you.